Welcome everybody to the next episode of Bridging the Gap. We're excited to be here today. We've got Zita, my co-host. We've got Dave Mann from Perfect Pallets Pittsburgh, and we're looking forward to having a great conversation today. Welcome everybody. So Dave, hey, great to have you here. We're excited to have you as a guest. Man, I was looking at your website. You've got some super cool stuff on the website. So
thank you.
If you don't mind, give us an introduction to your business, Perfect Pallets Pittsburgh.
Sure. So Perfect Pallet PGH, I call it, is kind of a custom woodworking, pretty much any type of custom homework. But we stick to the smaller, more unique, smaller projects. But yeah, so you want to get to how I started or just?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, go ahead and share.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting space I found. I was working the corporate job, selling software and doing this stuff, and I've always did woodworking on the side. So I started kind of helping people with basements and doing accent walls. I actually started doing pallet walls. That's where the name Perfect Pallet I kind of kept. So I literally quit my job just doing pallet walls.
Okay.
So it was a crazy year, whatever. And then as time went on, whatever, I was asked just to do different type of custom work like barn doors and mantels and just different type of work. So
yeah,
it's kind of just grown since then, and it's been pretty wild.
Okay. So how long have you been doing this?
2019,
okay.
I officially started a business. So yeah. About 5 years.
Zita, as you're going through houses, I mean, do you see a lot of the pallet walls or like some of those accent walls that Dave's talking about?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they became really, really popular where everybody wants some level of trim work. Barn doors were huge. I mean, they're a big space saver, so a lot of people do like having them in their homes. But the accent walls, you see them, all the custom builders, track builders, they all use them because they add a lot of character to the space. So yeah, they're really popular.
Yeah. So I've got to say, like one of the things, so the other night I'm at my buddy's house, I stop over, he's got a, what I would call cookie cutter mantle on the fireplace that he's taken off of the wall.
Right.
He's got the same one that I've got actually. And, we've talked about like
the white surround.
No, mine was a finished wood. Theirs was painted like a black color, but it's the same shape and size and style. And I feel like it's one of those like standard ones that everybody has, but so his wife is like, hey, I want to tear that down. I want to put shiplap up. And so he's got the framing up right now. And we were kind of talking through some ideas last night, like, hey, we want to do this. We want to put in some shelving. But, as I look at your website, I see a lot of that same stuff. So I'm curious to hear, like the mantles that you do. Is that like a veneer that slides over? Or is that a solid wood mantle? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so what you just mentioned is we do that weekly.
Okay.
Whatever type of build, they have a typical generic surround. I've uninstalled 500 of those.
Okay.
So yeah, if we can create like a bump out, make it look like an actual real, whether it's stone or wood fireplace. But as far as the mantles, I have anywhere from a boxed built beam all the way to like a reclaimed like old barn beam.
Okay.
So I have a whole side of my business that I go out and pick from farms and buildings are taking down. So, and I like keep track of the beams I have. I keep track of like where they come from and the families and stuff. So that's kind of a cool,
that's
history
really nice.
of PA and Ohio and stuff. So
yeah. So, Dave, do you do actual beams that run like through the center of the house, like not the center of the house, but like the ceiling? And you attach those, and
if it's a existing home, typically we do like a faux beam.
Like a wrap. Do you wrap it around like a
I'll
a
build
steel
like
beam
a
that's
hollow,
already...
but it looks real. But we do a lot of overhead like faux,
Yeah, that's
beams.
Nice. Yeah, that's a nice accent.
So I'm kind of interested to hear, because this is kind of, if you connect the dots between bridging the gap, right? For old versus the new and some of the remodel stuff that people are doing.
Right.
And, I'm interested to kind of hear the story about some of these pieces of wood that you're talking about. So like, where do you find them? How old are they? Like, what's the story behind that? And where do you find that stuff?
So crazy enough, I still use Craigslist.
Okay.
Which, that's kind of
still around.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. So you can only use cash. They can't write a check or take a card.
Yeah.
But no. So yeah, all these, whether it's a development or someone selling a farm, or if they have a barn that's falling over, whatever. Either it's posted, or even if I have a whole army of customers that'll send me a picture driving like on Interstate 70.
Okay.
Hey, you should call this guy. So it's an interesting, but but to get the, to reclaim this stuff and use it in a new build is awesome, because you can't manufacture
Right.
these old oak beams or whatever. And they're, you say about the age, some of them, I mean, the trees probably started growing in the 1600s.
Oh, wow.
Then they were milled and put in a barn in the, early 19 or whatever it was.
Okay.
So these are like hundreds of years old.
So you get some reclaimed stuff from a barn build or
yeah.
Okay. That's
I work
awesome.
with a guy that does this naturally, and he'll buy a barn and he'll repurpose it as a home.
Okay.
And he might buy a 60 by 40 and only need, whatever. He might have like a 20-foot section. So I try to pick that from him. But it's a whole underground,
So
reclaim.
when you get an old piece of wood like that, do you cut it and make it into a veneer? Do you try to use the entire piece?
I try to use the entire piece.
Okay.
I have a sawmill, so I have cut it apart and rebuild it to save weight.
Yeah.
But typically I like to, I
I'm
keep
just thinking
them.
some of those things are some heavy pieces.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I've had beams where the farmer, he's like, if you can lift that, you can have it.
Okay.
So, it's kind of one of those. But I try to leave everything, full length. So if I'm doing like a fireplace build out, I offer, if you want to pick your own mantle, you can come to my shop, look through what we have, and then pick a specific one. So it's kind of a cool experience.
Yeah,
But,
that's nice. It's kind of like picking out your granite, right?
Right,
You can come
exactly.
and pick out
Exactly.
your mantle.
Yeah.
That's cool.
This is probably a little bit more exciting.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
I keep them how we pick them. I don't like clean them up because, sometimes you can't re-age them how they were.
Yeah.
So it's hard for some people to see how they're finished, but I try to keep them keep the weathering and everything.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool
So
process.
let me ask you this, and this is kind of personal for me, but is there a way to take a piece of wood and make it look old and aged when it's, brand new shiny like it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm a collector of old saw blades and old draw knives.
Uh-huh.
So my shop, I collect tools like old tools,
Yeah.
So I actually use some of those,
Okay.
reclaiming or distressing new lumber. So in situations where we have to build a box beam that's hollow,
Yeah.
I use some of those old old draw knives and stuff to make it look like it's a hand hewn, or old milled beam, which
Okay.
is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I have ways of staining and sanding and
Making it look like it's 100 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. My wife Joyce has this fetish of like, oh, I want to put this in the house. So she has this huge beam that's in my shed right now that is pristine, but I mean it's like really gnarly looking, but it looks like new wood that you see when you walk into Home Depot. So I said to her, I go, this isn't like an old beam. This looks like a new beam that somebody maybe just crafted or beat up.
Yeah. It'd be hard to
Get
tell.
some color and some stain to it and make it look like it's old. So
Dave's your guy, right?
Yeah, I'll stop over when we're done here.
sounds
Yeah.
like we found our man.
I know, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So where's your studio or your shop
Yeah,
where
so
someone
I-
would come and check it out?
Yeah, I built a shop about 3 years ago. It's in Cecil, so
Okay, yeah.
maybe 10 minutes, west of Bridgeville.
Nice.
But yeah, we service the whole Pittsburgh area. I do a lot of work in like Deep Creek and Seven Springs and Holly Valley. I actually
bet,
had someone
yeah.
fly me to Florida,
Wow.
for a weekend just to do some stuff. But
Yeah.
it was,
That's super cool.
yeah.
So
mostly-
do you have is there like a studio that showcases what I see on the website or?
Since everything's custom, I mean, I have like samples of some things,
Okay.
but yeah, mostly everything we do is, my business is kind of run where someone will reach out and with Pinterest and, obviously the internet, or they see something, I pretty much ask, what do you want and where's it going? So if you want an accent wall, send me your ideas or inspirations and then what wall is it going on? And then my efficiencies of I don't really go out and give an estimate. I can kind of give you a ballpark within 5 minutes of what we can do, and then if we're close, then we can dig into the details. But
Sure.
but yeah, everything we do is kind of like a one-off. But
Yeah. So speaking of accent walls, Zita, when you're out with clients and you're looking at properties, I mean, do you see a lot of that, or is that like a big ideation session that people are walking through going, oh, I love this home, I would make this an accent wall? What's that conversation look like for you?
So I think what people are looking at is the customization, that what does that home have? And if it doesn't have it, how they can characterize it for themselves.
Right.
So I think having the opportunity to bring in some of this woodwork trim or, doing something that's unique, that's where a lot of people, they get excited about that idea of making it their own, right? So, I mean, really a house that's more vanilla is more attractive because then you can make it what you want. But if they go in and they already see, it's amazing, to have a wood featured wall in a family
It's a
room
feel.
or all of a
feel,
sudden
yeah.
people are like, I love this house. It elevates the price, the value of that home significantly for a buyer. They feel like, oh, this is really customized and it's special. So it does add a lot of value for homeowners, but certainly when you're selling, it's exciting for people.
On the real estate end, we do a lot for people trying to sell.
Yeah.
You know, like an outdated, we'll go in and do wainscoting or, you know, whatever, judges paneling or whatever, just to, you know, update it and with little paint, and it makes a big difference.
It absolutely does. Do you do like much of like painting
do.
woodwork?
We paint our projects. You know, we paint one-off stuff, but we're not like a painter.
Yeah.
But
Do you find that a lot of people are looking for painted woodwork, or do you think a lot of them like the distress? Like, what have you found in your experience?
It's right down the middle, really. So when I started, all I did was pallet walls, and they were like a rustic, you know, reclaimed. Whether we sanded them, most of them were natural. Then like 2 years went by, and then this whole whitewash thing kind of came. So I was getting calls every week. Hey, can we do a whitewash on our pallet wall? So it's a whole nother wave of going out to, you know, a customer.
Repeat customers. Right?
Yeah, it was awesome. So it was interesting. So, but yeah, right now it's the accent, like the abstracts, and they're mostly painted. But we still do, like I'm working on a podcast studio now, actually, by Ross Park, we're putting pallets, like rustic on one side, then like painted, and then, you know, like black, then white, and then rustic. So.
Yeah. So if you come in our lobby, I mean, we've got the pallet wall. I don't know if you saw when you walked in, that's behind our logo and our signage. So I mean, in our studio right outside, we've got, you know, full woodwork on the bar top, on the
it's
tables.
really cool stuff.
Yeah, I'd be curious to get your opinion on what we do next with that.
For sure, I'd be happy to help it.
So I'm looking on the website, and I'm into these accent walls. I mean, I go on, and when I'm watching on Instagram, like I can get lost in the reels of people making these accent walls with all of the different angles and pieces and parts. Like, tell us a little bit about that, and like, what's the popular designs? What are people looking at? Like, what do they come to you for? Like, do they have an idea and you go, oh, what about this? Or like, what's that process look like for you?
2 years ago or 3 years ago, when I had no walls to show, they would come to with an idea or a sketch. We'd say, all right, let's do like a 45-degree angle on whatever. Now that we have so many, that I just get a picture of kind of what we've done that they want. So it's grown into like, what do you want that we've done? And if not, like on Pinterest or wherever, you know, show me what you want, and we create it. So that's kind of how my business has grown in a organic way of what the market wants. Yeah. Like, so I think something's cool.
You have a lot of people come in with like a bunch of pins that they go, oh, hey, what about this? And you kind of have some ideation
for sure.
at that point.
For sure.
And then you can kind of custom create based on what they've told you.
Right.
Because they probably don't have one of the same, like it's not all constant.
Right. I see a couple overlapping ideas, but it's always a different idea.
Okay.
And then, I always ask like, what design and what color are you going to do?
Yeah.
And a note, anyone that picks a paint color, if the husband picks, they have to have a note from the wife.
Okay.
So husbands aren't allowed to pick paint color.
I mean, really, that makes
that's
a
so
ton
funny.
of sense.
Yeah, that's true. What do you find, Dave, is the most popular space that you are creating these walls in? What room in the house?
So like the accent walls?
Yes.
I like entryways, dining rooms, living rooms. I mean, it's kind of everywhere. A lot of bedrooms.
Yeah, I see a lot like in the baby rooms. Like a lot of people like to do something behind the crib.
We do wallpaper too, so we'll do like a board and batten with like wallpaper above it.
So will you do the wallpaper too?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's great.
Yeah, we do lighting.
Dave's your guy for all of these things.
Yeah, any of this little stuff that we can do while we're there, like electrical or.
So of these accent walls, have you done any that have wallpaper embedded somewhere?
I was just going to say, if you go on like the Google listing or even my Facebook.
Okay.
We just did a wall last week where it was a 20-foot ceiling. We did 2 sides of wallpaper, added like gold sconces, and we did a black, like tricorn black accent with gold pieces.
Oh, really?
It's pretty awesome. It's really awesome. So
that's cool. Yeah, nice. It's not linking me to your Facebook page somehow, but I can dig into it.
So
I'd be interested to check that out.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, Perfect Pallet PGH is my handle for.
Perfect.
Yeah. Instagram and Facebook.
Dave, how long does, like if someone calls you for a new wall accent or something like that in a dining room or a family room, what's the typical turnaround time from when someone meets with you to project delivery and also just the install of it itself?
So I'll start, the install is 1 day.
Oh, nice.
So most of our 99%.
That's impressive.
Yeah, even our built-ins, if we do full cabinetry and fireplace, whatever, it's usually 1 day. I prep it ahead of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of our accents, if we're doing a mantle or whatever, it's literally, I mean, some of my stone projects are 2, but that's kind of where our efficiency helps. Because if someone needs something done, it's pretty cool to see it in a day.
What's your team look like? Are you doing this all by yourself? Do you have other folks that are helping?
So when I started, my father-in-law was the only one that thought I wasn't crazy.
Okay.
So he was retired, and he would help me like 2-3 days a week just for fun. That went on for a year or two, and then I found one of my good friends, ex-Marine, Dominic. He was doing something else, and I was like, why don't you come help me? I really don't know what I'm doing yet.
Uh-huh.
So it's been about 5 years with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's just the two of us.
Okay.
Which
You
is,
guys are cranking stuff out the day.
yeah, so every picture you see, I've designed it, sold it, touched, like painted.
Okay.
So it's kind of crazy. We have about 1,600 customers right now, ish.
Impressive.
So what's the biggest challenge that you face when you're talking to folks? Whether you're in their home, what stands out as something that you guys maybe struggle with to help people? They've got this crazy idea or something, or you run into a wall that's not plumb, or what's the thing that jumps out at you?
There hasn't been many of that. We figure out whatever we have to do, but
Okay.
I have a challenge with finding help.
Okay.
Which is a crazy thing. Who thought, that people wouldn't want to help? But
Yeah.
I've had 3 or 4 guys try to help, and whatever. It's just, I don't know. It's an interesting.
Yeah. So I talk to contractors all day long, and I think that's like number 2 that's on the list of things I hear all the time is, skilled labor is relative to either finding somebody who's skilled labor, like a carpenter. If you think about it, you can't just come off of the street and have no experience,
right?
Jump right in and make these accent walls. But how do we get skilled labor? And then 2, you have skilled labor. How do you keep them?
Right.
Because the grass is always greener somewhere else.
Sure,
right?
sure. And anyone that I know that's talented is doing their own thing.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting, niche that I'm in. But.
Right. So is there a point where you would bring somebody on that maybe doesn't have the experience?
Oh,
and train them
I would
over
love
time,
to.
or-
I would hire someone today if we could.
Okay.
Or 2,
So it sounds like you have the ability to grow. You just need the bodies to do it.
Yeah, it's a weird trying to figure that out. That's been the last year I've been really trying to figure that.
That's a good
So
place
this
to
is
be,
sort of
right?
an advertisement podcast too.
Well, yeah. Well,
For your
not-
business, we have an ad out there for you, Dave, right? So that's great. Obviously, it's a testament to the work that you're doing. I'm sure you're getting a ton of referrals from clients that you work with, which is
That's all it
everyone's
is.
dream,
That's really
right?
all
That's
it
what
is,
you
right?
want.
I don't
Absolutely.
advertise, with the. I joke about these moms groups, like Peter's Moms. We did that while I was mentioning, and the customer shared it. She didn't tell me or whatever. I had like 35 customers comment on it, share that with me. It was awesome. It was just like a cool, I don't know. Just it was good.
That's great. That's the best kind of business to get.
I just did the work, and then it's
Because they're singing your praises, right?
Right,
Just
right.
with the work that you did, and the fact that you can be in and out of someone's home within a day, and they come home, and all of a sudden the work
pretty
is
awesome.
done. Oh, that's the best.
When I first started, everyone was in the office. So I would have customers that I didn't meet ever because they would give me their garage code. We'd work. We'd be done by 4 or 5. They'd come home and be like, I love it. So we did the home show in 2020, and I probably met 100 customers that I had never met.
Okay.
And up until that time.
You did work for, but
and they came to the show to meet us. It was awesome. It was just, I'm like, I know your garage code.
Yeah.
So Dave, you're building bookcases as well?
Yeah.
So, because there's a lot of customers that are looking for, built-in bookcases, and that seems to be a little bit challenging to come by somebody that will do that. And so that's something you build off-site, and you bring it in,
sure.
you install it in one day. It's done.
Correct.
Amazing.
Yeah, so typical built-in is like a fireplace with cabinets and then, storage on each side.
And then do you do the above part too? So like, with the shelving, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all the trim. Pretty much. I made someone built a house with Ryan about a month ago, and they wanted a wood-burning fireplace.
Okay.
And you can't get that. So they left the space blank. It was a previous customer. They called us, and they're like, can you make me a brick fireplace? I'm like, sure. So I made this thing out of cement board, and I mudded it. It looks awesome. So we set it in and put shiplap above it, mounted their TV. Did the whole entertainment thing, and it looked awesome. And their kids were saying, can we light a fire in there? And I'm like, no, you tell them no, because it looks, I even burnt the inside so it looked like it was an old, it was an awesome
So
project.
it's look and feel. It's not functional, but it
Correct.
gives them.
Yeah, we put some birch logs in there for decoration and stuff, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
So all these people that come to their house, they had a party for Thanksgiving. They're like, where did you get that? You know? So I got a whole wave of that, which is pretty cool. But
Dave, you're obviously really excited about what you do, and it's a big
awesome.
difference from your corporate career.
It's
so
awesome.
this has been an amazing
awesome.
change for you. So that's
pretty cool. Yeah, I encourage anyone I've helped a couple of my friends start their businesses, like woodworking, just a couple different things. Even not even mentoring, but just what I went through and tax program to, you know, just different stuff. So if anyone has any thinking about it, I'm always up for a conversation or, you know.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges that, you know, if you think about entrepreneurship in general, I mean, it's a lonely place.
Sure.
You know, you came from a W-2 job to, you know, start your own business and go out on your own and, you know, you've made a success out of it. But I think a lot of times people struggle with that.
There's no rule book. You can't
no,
follow anything.
I was going to say, there's no owner's manual that comes with it. You
Yeah.
need to rely on a peer or a community or, you know, somebody to help you.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, there's a lot of late nights where I'm like, is this going to work?
Yeah.
I mean, hundreds of, you know, we had our son when I was my first year in, or, you know, whatever it was. And my wife's like, you sure? You know, you sure? I'm like, I know it's going to work. Like, this is awesome work. Even if it's, you know, the money, whatever, it's awesome stuff. So it's been pretty neat.
So answer this for me. I'm kind of curious, and you're probably thinking the same thing. What's the normal or average request that you get? Like, is there one thing that you do more than others? Like, when someone thinks of you, do they go, hey, we're pallets, you know, and they have that in their head? Or is it accent walls? Is it bar tops? Is it, you know, the barn doors, the fireplace surrounds? Like, what's the one thing that you do more than others?
It goes in waves.
Okay.
So, like right now, built-ins are huge.
Is it? Okay.
So someone, you know, they'll even, if they're building a custom home or with a builder, they'll ask us to like quote it, and then they'll either have us do it and not have the builder, which is kind of cool, or, you know, wait for us or whatever it is. But yeah, it's all, if I get 30 calls a day, 4 of them are mantels, 10 are accent walls, 10 are built. I mean, it's really a spread.
Is it? Okay.
And I try to group it. Like when we install, one of my efficiencies is I group them. So if you reach out for a barn door, I might not do it like today.
Okay.
I'll wait till I get like 5 or 6. Then I build them all in a day, and then we go install like the next 2 days. So so I kind of group things like that. And I don't prioritize people or projects, but I do like to. I try to put challenging things, you know, first. So if you reach out with something I've never done, I'll probably do that first.
Okay.
Just to try it, you know.
So if it's not on your website and it's on my Pinterest board,
Well, I'll be there next week.
yeah.
So literally,
I love it.
So if you're watching, that's a good way to get on the top of the list.
yeah, come up with something challenging for us.
That's awesome. So what is the challenge? What's the one thing that you've had up here, but it just hasn't come out yet?
That's an interesting question. Probably doing more with stone. I've gotten into a little bit like concrete countertops and stuff. That's heavy work.
Yeah.
I like it. You know, it's like more, it's art, you know, more of an art. But yeah, nothing crazy. I just, I would love to like do more of these abstract accents, like the painted walls. Those we enjoy that we can just go and create.
Yeah.
So anything that we're making from scratch is really fun for us.
Okay.
But
yeah, so that's like what, finish nailer? Does that get glued to the wall, or is it just
it depends.
a trim nailer?
It depends.
Okay.
Yeah, typically we would glue as well, and then you know fill the seams, and it looks like one big panel when it's done.
I got you.
And I'm very particular with like the seams. Like if you go to any of my walls, you shouldn't see a seam. So that's kind of one of my whatever it is. But
yeah, you know, it's funny that you say that. So I'm sitting last night with my son. We're doing homework, and he's building this spreadsheet, and he told me, he goes, "Oh, Dad, it's good. We can just finish here." I go, "It's not done. You still have stuff. This equation's not working." And he's like, "Well, no, it's good. It'll be okay. We can submit this." I'm like, "No, you have to do it right, and you have to complete it. You have to actually finish it." And,
right.
you know, he's
like show your work.
I'm like, "Yeah, but I go, dude, like when we start something, we finish it, and it's got to be perfect when we're done with it. Like otherwise, you keep doing it until it's perfect." So,
Sure.
It sounds like you're pretty much the same way.
Yeah, that's probably a weakness where I might spend another hour just going over everything.
Yeah.
You know, when we're done, I'm like, we're not done. Let's just like
Meticulous,
Yeah.
right? That's
That
what
goes
I
with the
think
name.
of when you're talking about
Yeah, and that's
that.
really
it goes
the
with your
name.
name with the Perfect Pallet, right?
It was
It's-
Pittsburgh Pallet Walls. That's like when I first started.
Yeah.
And then I was at a customer's house, wherever, and they're like, I'm like, I hate that name. We do so much more. You know, what can we do? And they were just talking over dinner, and he's like, what about Perfect Pallet? I'm like, that's kind of cool. Because really a pallet is never perfect,
Right?
right? They're all whatever.
Yeah.
But the way, you know, what we do with them looks awesome. So I was like, that's pretty cool. So I don't know if that hurts or helps me with my business, but I'm sticking to it. So I don't, you know.
No, I think it's amazing because obviously pride in what you do,
Sure.
it comes through, and hence the 35 referrals from one post, right? Or from the Peter Mom group, right? That's amazing.
It's pretty cool.
That's what you want.
I can't describe, like, it's one of those things. I don't like talking about myself or, you know, this is the first time I've done anything like this, but it is really cool to kind of sit back once in a while and see, like, you know, if I showed you a picture from 4 years ago,
Yeah.
I would not be embarrassed by like, don't, you know, look what we did last week.
Right.
That's all. So we try to continue to get better and better with, you know, what we do.
Yeah, I mean, in that progression, right? So they call like doctors or attorneys, like they have a practice. They're practicing. They're not, you know, they don't have all the answers. They're not, you know, polished. And I mean, it's a practice.
That's what you asked me if someone
doing the same thing.
Someone asked me to do something different, you know.
Yeah.
I can't offer that now, but if we, you know, figure it out. That's one thing I'm really good at is figuring out whatever the situation is, like whatever project we're doing, like if it needs whatever, that's just like that's what we do.
Yeah. So it sounds like, and I think a lot of contractors run into the problem of, you know, taking on more than what is in their lane. I always tell people, stay in your lane. Like when you get outside of your lane, then you kind of struggle because you've never done it. But it sounds like for you, like outside of the lane is kind of where you want to be, doing stuff that's different and unique.
Like on the median, or like, you know, just on the berm a little bit, not like on the other lane.
Right.
Just
not over in the woods. But
yeah, right there.
Just off of the lane.
But yeah, that makes it exciting for everyone.
So I'm curious as I'm flipping through some of this stuff, and man, there's a cool garage picture with some cabinetry and stuff that you've done, and
that was my original passion.
Okay.
So I do a couple of things. I had a landscape lighting business, and I worked on a couple custom garages. But yeah, that was my personal garage.
Okay.
And to describe it, it was all, I'm not a big Craftsman fan, but the red and black Craftsman. I mean, I had a urinal.
Okay.
In one of the cabinets, just because, I mean, I had like a kegerator, you know, fridge. I mean, it was like.
Well, why wouldn't you if you're making it custom?
Yeah, exactly.
You have a TV in there. That's where all the Steeler game parties were happening.
I mean, it was really cool. That was. I showed that picture. I've had a couple customers ask like, "Hey, do you do garages?" So I'll do that for friends or on the side.
So it's interesting that you said urinal because our previous house, we remodeled and added a bathroom in, and I said, "This is going to be a bathroom that's down by the basement bar. I want to have a urinal. We're going to have friends over. Let's put a urinal in." And my wife was like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Like, it's perfect." And so we put it in, and undoubtedly people would walk past it and go to the regular toilet. And I'd go, "Hey, did you see the urinal in there?" They're like, "No." "You have a urinal?" I said, "Yeah, we have a urinal in the bathroom." And it blew people's mind because they would walk right by it and go to the traditional toilet that they see all the time in the bathroom. And they had no clue.
Must be a guy thing.
I thought it was.
I built with Ryan, and that urinal, I had it in a Craftsman cabinet, so my wife probably didn't know about it for 6 months.
Okay.
She'd pull in the garage, and like it wasn't ever used, whatever.
It was closed in the cabinet.
But I was in like a Charlotte airport once for my old job, and this is when I did that garage, and I heard this guy with a Ryan shirt on saying, "Yeah, this dude and whatever has this urinal built in." I'm like, "That's my garage."
Yeah. It
was some, you know, Ryan executive, whatever, that was like going around, I thought that was really funny.
That's pretty crazy.
Off the side, but.
All right, so tell us as we wrap things up here. This has been a great conversation. I'm really excited, and I'm excited for people to get to see your episode. Sure. What's the best way to contact you when somebody does contact you? Should they have some ideas in mind? Like, what's that process look like for somebody to engage you to do business with them? Yeah,
so whether it's I don't like relying on Facebook as much, but most content is there. Obviously, my cell phone. We can give it or list it, whatever. Texting is really the easiest way. Okay. I kind of can keep a history of it. I can quote
what's going on.
That's really, really simple. So
people can probably share pictures via text with you.
A couple pictures, and you know, if they're looking for a quote, send me a picture of, like I said, what you want, you know, whatever it is, and like the space that you're thinking of doing, and then it's really simple.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't have like a scope. I just say this is how, you know, it's what it would be. If you want to do it, cool. You know, it's really simple.
As a realtor, anyone can go onto the Lux 10 platform and you can text your profile to customers. It's nice and easy. It comes right through into text with your entire profile, all your contact information, and you have photos and everything up there so people can see your work. So if they're not on Facebook, obviously, come on to lux10.com and you can find you there. But I mean, we're thrilled to have you as a partner, and I think it makes the opportunity for a lot of homeowners to come to the platform and see your work, and for us to be able to share that with them.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for joining today. Another episode of Bridging the Gap, If These Walls Could Talk. We'll see you next episode.